All right, looks like we're live in both both chats. So, the election is over. Trump won. And try as I might, I really tried to convince myself not to comment on it, not to talk about it, but perusing social media today just really got to me. So I'm afraid I'm going to have to weigh in. And I'm going to try to do it in a way that's constructive, because what I'm seeing on social media right now reminds me of arguing with my NPD ex-girlfriend. It's mind-numbing, soul-shattering insanity. It really is collective insanity, collective psychosis. I really genuinely believe that. And so first, though, a little update on my health crises. Went to the dentist, and I do need 2 surgeries, 1 on each side. They are going to remove some skin from the palate and repair these things. The good news is I thought it was stage 4 periodontal, which means that the teeth are doomed. It's not stage 2. So that's a better prognosis, but after the cleaning, I have to wait 20 days and they won't give me painkillers. So I just have to live with this pain for like a month, which is pretty inconceivable. It's definitely messing with my mental health, and coca, which is the only thing I have to numb it, apparently aggravates periodontal. So a little bit of a catch-22. And then 20 years ago or so, I was moving a hot tub that weighed about 1,100 pounds with 2 other guys, and they let go and left me holding it. So I got a double hernia. The mesh has broken, and apparently that can be fatal. So I have to get all of this stuff done immediately, which is wild. So tomorrow we're doing a crowdfunding music stream. You know, the crypto market's blowing up, and I was really excited to be able to participate in it this time. And so instead I have 4 surgeries that I have to do. Pretty obnoxious. Okay, so let's talk about the aftermath of Donald Trump being selected as president. The first thing I want to point out is that in the last stream I did where I talked about this, I said that if my prediction, my analysis really, that he is being installed as the figurehead of a dictatorship. It's not a real dictatorship because BlackRock and Israel and whoever else really pulling the strings, but he'll be the, poster boy, the figurehead. And when a dictator is installed or a figurehead like that, there's always a honeymoon because they want to unify the people behind this individual. He's already talking about a golden age. Like right away. Exactly as I described. So, not trying to gloat, but I think if you can consistently predict the behavior of a system, it's because you understand that system. So, everything I've said about this has turned out to be true. The cryptocurrencies that I suggested, not financial advice that you guys buy, the day before the election, they're all up like 30-40% already, and that's going to continue. So get your bags filled, guys. It does represent a short window of tremendous financial opportunity, I think, for all of us. But now let me try to explain what has been driving me insane today, the things that I've seen online that are so maddening. And the thing is, I'm not trolling people. I'm not here to make fun of people. I'm not trying to be mean. This really matters because if you want to make progress, if you want to be heard by an opponent, if you want to have any hope of having positive influence on someone that holds views that are contrary to your own, you need to make sure that you got 10 toes in when you're standing on business, that you are speaking truth, that it is coherent, that it is not blatantly flaming hypocrisy, right? And again, I'm not trying to roast the left here. I am not a fan of Donald Trump. I'm not a fan of Kamala Harris. I'm trying to get to the truth, kind of act as a mediator even. But their behavior is embarrassing at this point, beyond embarrassing. It's incredible. And there are two major components to this. One is that when Trump lost, right, and this is an interesting question, if they rigged the election last time, why didn't they do it this time? If they can rig elections, and the excuse, of course, is, oh, he had too big of a margin for them to fake it. But that would have been true before as well. So that's an interesting question. But more to the point is that when the right was saying you rigged the elections, the left said, how dare you undermine our democracy by questioning our election integrity? Doesn't this sound familiar? Like 2016, when the left lost and they accused the right of conspiring with Russia, right? But then they lose and they say, how dare you say what we said 4 years ago? And now again, the tables have turned and the left is like, they must have rigged it. You same people 4 years ago said that it was undermining democracy to accuse the other side of it. So did you forget what you said? Did you just have absolutely no integrity? I genuinely don't understand. So if you guys think you can help me out, in the comments, or if you're here live in the chat, like, what is that? What is that? But even crazier, and this is what has been making me cringe constantly for days now. There was a bunch of controversy because there was this debate where I saw, this is what my eyes and ears witnessed. I guess it's possible. Memory's fallible. It's weird that so many other people remember it happening exactly the same way. It's weird that it didn't become, a big topic on the internet until a week or so ago. And you can check me mentioning it all the way back to 2020 in various live streams and numerous times. If it's right-wing propaganda, as people on the left are saying, how is it that I was talking about this 4 years ago? But let's just say, devil's advocate, that it isn't true. That the words, all we need to know about Joe Biden is whether he's more of a rapist or a racist, didn't actually come out of Kamala Harris's mouth. Here are some things that did that you can check. She's on record all over the place. You can find video of her saying these things. I believe all of his victims. So she says he's a rapist. She also says, I'm concerned about his Klan ties, particularly to Senator Byrd, and he eulogized the Klansmen. There are probably tens of thousands. I mean, I don't know what the real number is, but I've seen this everywhere. People shaming the right, saying, how can you support a rapist? How are you going to explain this to your daughters? You guys put Biden in office. What are you talking about? And right now, in the present moment, you were trying to put a woman in office who had called him out on these things and still supported him, even calling him a great man and saying it's an honor to serve beside him mere weeks after acknowledging that he had done these things. And you're out here shaming people for supporting someone when your candidate had done the thing you're shaming these voters for. Undeniably. Like I said, let me reiterate, I'm not trying to troll people. I'm telling you, if you really want progress, you cannot argue with the other side like an NPD girlfriend. You cannot just gaslight your way to victory. This is not truth. is self-substantiating. Truth is a positive force in the universe that, has effects and creates and manifests and heals. Falsehood is poison. I mean, I'm sure you guys are following this. It's batshit crazy insane to watch, and I am genuinely confused. Do these people? Okay, here's another angle on this. For a liberal, being politically educated and hip is like fundamentally important to their existence. Wouldn't that include, above and beyond anything else, knowing the history of your candidate? So that's why I'm so lost here. I don't understand. Do they not know? Or do we really have millions of people lying and gaslighting? For what purpose? Instead of getting mad at me, and unsubscribing, which has happened a bunch over the last 24 hours, because I am reminding you of things that there are records of your candidate saying. Shouldn't you be furious that you are being put in a position where you have to support someone that you tell other people, right, they're like criminally evil for supporting someone that's done the same things your candidate has done? And I think he has, by the way. I think Trump is just as guilty, if not more, of all of these things as Biden. Except the evidence for racism is much greater with Biden. Really. It's mind-boggling. So the thing is, you have to come from a place of truth in order to make progress. I don't know how hard this is to understand, or why it's hard to understand. Sorry, guys. You look like such a clown to the other side because they know these things. They've watched the clips of your candidate saying these things. And then when you're out there going, how dare you support a rapist and a racist? They're like, what about you? That's all you got? You need to come up with something that isn't true about both sides if it's going to have any impact. And they do this with all of the wedge issues on both sides. Abortion is one of those things that's been chosen to keep people fighting because the narrative that people are given to argue from is invalid on both sides. It's absolutely true that no one should be forced to have a baby. It's also true that a 36-week termination is probably inhumane. It's also true that at the moment of conception, there is a new strand of DNA. I'm pro-choice. But if you're going to argue about something, you have to take a position that is based upon things of substance. And that's not what we see. Immigration. The right is constantly talking about trying to control illegal immigration. The left goes, oh, you're racist. You don't want any immigrants coming. Who's going to harvest your vegetables? No, that's not what they said. Illegal immigrants. The kind that flood over the border carrying anything and could be anyone. Valid point, So that's the thing, people. Got to streamline and bring your arguments in alignment with truth and reality. Otherwise, you look like an idiot. And it sets back humanity grievously. Why won't they give you painkillers? I don't know. I don't know. He says that only a cancer specialist can prescribe painkillers in this country, and it's not true, from what I can tell online. So I'm considering finding another surgeon, because that seems like a bit much to have like bone graft and like skin moved around and stuff and not have any, like, here's some Tylenol, bud. Well, and that's the thing. People ask me a lot when I point these things out, what is the solution? The thing is, the solution comes in stages, right? You can use anything in the universe as a model, right? Any processes, all basically, the same laws are exerted on them. So let's use the example of a diagnosis. First, you have to have an objective and correct diagnosis. If you diagnose for a cold when you actually have cancer, you're going to die, right? So people have these boundaries that they won't go beyond. They can't imagine that what's happening is really so diabolical that the elections are staged, that there's really only one party and the same interests are controlling both puppets, and they just have different rhetoric, but the end game is the same. Castro was saying this about the United States as far back as like the 1960s or something. That it's really one party controlled by Zionists, and that their toolkit and their rhetoric is different, but their goals and end game are identical. And really, I hate to say this because it puts me among their number, sounds boastful, but if you look throughout history at the highest IQ people, Frank Zappa, 170 IQ, Mark Twain, I don't know that Einstein said much about this, Jerry Garcia, incredibly high IQ. All of the smartest people say the same stuff about U.S. politics. Why are people looking across instead of up for leadership, first of all? How does that make sense? And then, beyond that, one of the reasons I don't really offer solutions much when I do these streams is because I'll get deleted. You know what I mean? I can't really say what I think. And it's not the happiest, fluffiest prognosis. That at this point, I think people have allowed the machine to become so entrenched, so powerful. The sheep are so brainwashed. It's become clear over the last election that it's not that people are aligned with values. They're aligned with their party. It doesn't matter what the party does. They're going to stick with the party, not with their values. So we're in real trouble. When it gets to that point, we're in real trouble. People's cognitive dissonance is mind-blowing. People talk constantly about saving our democracy. Literally those same people, when you say, don't you hate your candidate? Yeah, but we don't have a choice. Why are you ranting about saving your democracy if you don't even have a choice? Like, how can you say both things and not even notice? That's scary. I don't care who you are. That shit is scary. They are like the free speech thing. 20 years or more as a liberal, free speech was like one of our, fundamentally important constituents of the platform, protecting it, and the right would go after it sometimes, and we hated them for it. And now a lot of people are on board for getting rid of the First and Second Amendment. People will just abandon their values, and the right too. I'm not giving them enough of a hard time. Christian values. Donald Trump. Paid a porn star. $100,000 or whatever. The check is there. You know, you can pull him up on Howard Stern saying that Paris Hilton is hot when she was 12. And on and on and on. Christian conservative values. This is the guy that's going to get rid of all the pedos? Really? Paris Hilton is hot, smoking hot at 12? He's going to get rid of the pedos for you? Sounds legit. And my opinion, you know, I've said this a million times, is that they're doing it deliberately. They are giving you candidates that are the exact polar opposite to the most extreme that they are able to find of what your values are and what you stand for. You know, maybe it's partly experiment to see, you know, how far they can push people and not get any kind of response. No critical thinking engaged, you know, to call this stuff out and realize what's being done. The positive of it, I guess, I mean, if there is, you know, a silver lining, is that for those of us that are kind of outside of it, that have opened our eyes up, it makes it really clear to us and obvious the extent to which things have devolved. You know, there's no question at this point how severe the situation is in terms of the indoctrination of the sheeple. They are 3 sheets to the wind. So what I was saying earlier about the solution is that I cannot imagine at this point that without a total collapse, there can be any kind of reconfiguration. The thing is too big. It's too powerful. You know, that guy that committed, unalived himself in that, I always hated the band. Chester Bennington, Lincoln Park. He wrote a song about this right before he died, and he was saying it can't be outrun, it can't be outdone, and on like that, you know. And that was like what, 15 years ago or something. So, you know, for our part of it, the only thing I can really offer to people, and I know that anyone that comes to my streams probably already thinks like this, but you just have to make sure that when you're putting something out there that you have really vetted what you're saying, you know, because people are doing so much more harm than good, making complete asses of themselves, just looking like total hypocrites. And again, that's part of the mechanism of propaganda. You know, that's one of the reasons it's so important that they have the right supporting someone who is so obviously incongruent with their values, and then they have the left supporting someone that's so incongruent with their values. That way, both sides, while they're talking shit to each other, just look like completely insane hypocrites. That's a huge part of it. No one can win in that scenario. No one can win in that scenario. Like, it was crazy the last time with Biden versus Trump when the left was constantly talking about Trump's racism. And then you just look up Biden's history, and he's literally eulogizing Klan wizards and calling them friends and mentors. Like, do you guys realize, I mean, you know how dumb people looked saying this shit when their candidate is eulogizing Klan members. 1994 crime bill, written by Biden, was designed to solve African American unemployment by putting them in private prisons so they could make a profit off of them. That's your answer to a racist candidate on the other side of the aisle? It is preposterous. It is preposterous to the point where it is like, there are no words. There really are no words. Like, it couldn't be more ridiculous. You know, and I'll be honest because there are subtle differences, and some of them aren't so subtle, you know, in the outcome of this stuff. Because the reality is there are sheeple, NPCs, muggles, whatever you want to call them, in positions of influence that actually believe in the whole thing, or they know that there are a lot of people that do, and therefore they act in accordance with that, right? So when they announced that Trump had won, that he was selected and installed, which I already knew that was the outcome, I was surprised at how relieved I felt, right? Not because I'm glad he's the president. Like, that it doesn't matter who it is to me. It sucks no matter what, except that the stock market and the crypto market were going to collapse if they had installed Harris, and they're going to boom now. So, you know, I guess I was thinking, at least there's that. At least it buys us some time to reinforce our community, you know, for us to grow in numbers and for us to stockpile resources and prepare for whatever's coming down the pipeline, you know. Hold on, guys. Blow me honker. So, you know, I mean, I feel like I've made my point, and I don't really see much reason to just beat a dead horse like this, you know. But honestly, the crap that I've been seeing online today, I feel like I would have just lost my mind if I didn't pop on here and say something about it. You know, because the insanity of it all, the hypocrisy of it all, it's just, and it's so self-defeating, you know. These people that think they're somehow doing something to the other side by attacking them for things they're doing themselves, when the other side can see that so clearly. You know, you're shooting yourself in the foot. It has, it's all backwards. It's all backwards. You're losing ground. You're burying yourself. You know, might sound like I'm criticizing, but really I'm trying to help these people. You know, it's hard to dance with foot in mouth and head up ass. Damn nigh impossible. So do me a favor, you guys, hit the like button, share, subscribe. Consider becoming a patron. I'm demonetized, so I get no support. And tomorrow I'm doing a long stream of music. Try to crowdfund for all these 4 surgeries. I cannot believe this shit, man. Don't get old, guys. It's not in your best interest. Not in your best interest. Just, you know what I mean? Like, we have to have dialogue out there. We have to get the truth out. But if you're not paying attention to what you're saying, you're not just hurting yourself. You're hurting an entire movement, you know? You're hurting humanity. So it's really important that we all really think things through before profaning the air with the wind of falsities. So thank you guys so much for spending this time with me, and I will see you guys tomorrow for a really long stream of music and whatnot. In fact, you know what? There's kind of a lot of people in the chat. So if there are other things I talk about that you want to ask a question or ask me to riff on in the next couple of minutes, I'll stick around and do a little chatting with the community. It's always fun. And yeah. That's, you know, you got to look at the bright side. It is a fact, and this is not my opinion. It's easy to go check this yourself. the stock market, the crypto market. Avail yourselves of these opportunities because, even if crypto is a giant scam over the next at least few months, there is tremendous opportunity for you to empower yourself financially, and there's a simple strategy. If you're really trying to go for broke and you want to see if you can really make the most out of this situation, Solana, Doge, Shiba Inu, maybe Ethereum, those are safe and they're going to continue to just go up and up and up and up and up. So you can put a chunk there, take profit, and then find some riskier projects that are at launch, AI security tokens, vet them really well. You can use AI to vet them, and then higher risk stuff with money that you've made off of Solana and Ethereum. So you're not risking any of your, bread and butter. It's going to be hard to fail. It really is. Because people have a sense that we are in the decline of Western civilization, that there's going to be a huge collapse, right? So now that there's this opportunity, there's blood in the water, the sharks are going to lose their fucking minds. So it's storming out there, which means my internet's probably about to die. Any optimistic viewpoints for the future? Yeah, I didn't see that yet, but I think that's what I just kind of laid out. What kind of surgeries are you needing? I need 2 periodontal surgeries with bone grafts and chunks of skin moved around, and I have to have 2 failed hernia surgeries remeshed. So, all right, guys, thank you so much for spending this time with me, and I will see you again tomorrow night.